Hello, welcome to Pixel Scandal NerdCast, where we talk about all the nerd things. Today we'll be talking about what we're excited about. We'll be covering what we've played recently. The spotlight topic of today will be how to form your own MMO group. So make sure to stick around for that, because that's I think anybody could use that, and you get to hear our ridiculous the antics in which we've used in years past to make it work in an MMO. I am Matthew. I'm a home health aide by trade, but a full-time gamer in my spare time. Also with us are the Pixel Scandal members, Kurt.
Hey, guys.
Night Sun.
Yo.
Orestes.
Hello.
You did? Okay.
Joining us is special guest,
Nerd
end
Chub?
of line.
There we go. And then myself, Hondor.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're doing this one from our own remote locations instead of all together.
Yeah. Hopefully the internet likes the new digs on the channel there.
All right, guys. So, any announcements or upcoming streams? Anything exciting going on that we want to discuss that we've got coming up on the stream?
I believe we'll be streaming tomorrow at 4 p.m. I think we're probably going to finish up on golfing with friends.
Yeah.
I think we have
Excited
a whole...
I get it. Golf game.
that is a golf game. And we'll probably jump into something else after that, because I don't know that we have too much left of that. But
Yeah, I think we only have 2 courses left.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And we have the our first Paper Scandal RPG coming up on April 28th. In 2 weeks. We'll keep advertising that until it actually happens.
Woo!
Woo-hoo.
Really excited
And
about that one.
The first episode's going to be character generation and world generation, right?
Yeah. Dungeon World character gen goes pretty quick, but I do want to do specifically. I don't want it to be your typical fantasy setting, so I definitely want to have some thought go into our world gen and not just sort of accept Tolkien fantasy as the setting. So,
Just out of curiosity, how long does it take to generate 4 bards?
4 bards?
Can't
It'll
you
probably
technic-
take about an hour and a half to do care gen, and then we'll probably do a short scene or little intro adventure
Yeah.
for an hour after that.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. So, what is everybody excited about? Anything coming out this week or soon that we're excited about?
Well, I mentioned Cartel last time, which is about to close, y'all. I don't know if it's closed or not, but I really want the stream overlay stretch goal. So if you're thinking about subbing, please go do that, or go buy Cartel on Kickstarter so that I can have stream overlays.
It
I don't
seems
think they
legit.
hit that stretch goal yet.
So
That's
you
legit.
want people to back the thing that you're backing so you get the stretch goal?
Yeah, man, and I'll run it on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll
So
go
they'll
do it
benefit.
right. I'll go do it right now.
yeah. Kickstarter, search for Cartel.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
I was checking it out yesterday. I actually extremely dig the artwork.
Yep, I backed it.
Yeah.
I'm very
But
excited.
make sure you don't kickstart an actual cartel.
Right?
No. Yeah.
I don't know. What are the stretch goals for the cartel?
All the coke you can have.
Yeah.
What's the
That sounds like a Kickstarter that's not going to deliver on its stretch goals.
what's the the spelling?
CARTEL. Cartel.
That was my fear.
Well, something
Yeah.
I'm excited about that is a Kickstarter that already closed that I backed, which is my own personal nerdy thing, is an art book called It's All in Your Head. And it's made by an artist who has mental illness, and he draws these really creepy looking kind of ink drawings of different mental health disorders.
Wow.
And then it has a description of the actual terminology and symptomology of the different mental health disorders with this very beautiful ink drawing of each kind of a monster-looking character of each mental health. It's going to be a really interesting book.
And what's that called? I'm going on Amazon Prime. I'm going to go pick that up too.
It's called It's All in Your Head, and it's the Kickstarter just closed.
That's all. That sounds really awesome.
And yeah, it's supposed to be really cool. Yeah. So that's what I'm excited about. It should be coming in really, really soon because he said he just came back from the editors. So I'm very excited. So what have we all been playing recently? I know what I've been playing. What has everybody been playing?
That's all I can put towards that statement.
I think it's a general group sigh, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a part of that.
Why not?
I refuse. Not this time. You will not get me.
All right, so we're all started playing WoW again.
Yeah, my name is Kurt, and I started playing WoW again.
Wait a minute. I feel like this is not the right episode. You know, going over how to form a group in an MMO for Handor to be like, I am absolutely not joining your group.
Yeah, come on, Handor.
See, but by the end of this
Get the group.
episode, we'll have convinced him,
That's true.
Okay.
and there you go.
See, what Matt
You're gonna
doesn't
get
realize.
real life experience.
What Matt doesn't realize is we came up with this topic specifically to convince him to come back to our group. That's why we picked the topic episode for this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, we've been playing World of Warcraft, and we've been playing Alliance characters, but we're starting Horde characters this upcoming expansion. Specifically for what reason, Kurt?
So the game doesn't feel as old?
I thought it was because you wanted really big antlers on your.
Oh yeah, well I want to be a moose.
You have to say A at the end of that.
I want to be a moose, eh?
Coming from our resident comedian.
There's a problem down here at the bank, eh? You send something out, sorry.
And we just lost 3 viewers.
Right? Yeah.
We had none, so it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Sorry to our 0 viewers, eh?
I love that you're doing that and Gordon is not hitting
Gordon's
you.
the one from Canada?
Yeah.
You can't
Is that
perpetuate that.
cultural appropriation? Am I appropriating your culture?
I think Rick Moranis handed it out
It's
to
almost-
everyone.
What?
Yes.
What was that, Matt?
I was just gonna say it sounds a lot like Minnesota too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're real close.
Anyway,
Yeah.
back to the cows. So what is everybody rolling up in WoW this expansion?
Whatever you guys make me roll.
Didn't you just go through the Death Knight starting zone again last night?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Back
It's
to
very hard
the,
finding myself caring at all, to be perfectly honest.
back to the Death Knight for Night Sun, huh?
Yep, back to the Death Knight. At least for now.
There's plenty. The thing is, there's plenty of time before August to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
A lot of things
Yeah,
are
absolutely.
changing, but a lot of things are the same. I think, for me, I'm kind of dabbling. I'm
Yeah.
leveling a warrior. I'm leveling a shaman. I'm leveling a paladin.
Yep.
Just trying to figure out what feels good. They all feel
I mean-
good. That's the problem.
I've been maining a mage and through Alliance for so long that it's kind of nice to be playing something different. Like I'm playing a druid, which
What are you playing?
I'm playing a druid. I'm going balance and going boomkin right now, but so it doesn't exactly feel different than playing a mage.
No,
But,
yeah.
The resource management is a nice thing because you don't really have that in
Definitely.
mage so much, right? I mean,
Right,
I guess mana
right.
for arcane, but
Well, and that's the thing. Like you don't really use much mana as a druid
Right.
unless you're healing.
it's basically just
Um,
astral. You're just focusing on all your astral the whole time.
Right. So it's kind of interesting playing. Plus, it's got a lot more survivability than a mage did. When I was starting a mage originally, I was dying every 5 seconds. And this, I'm actually able to kind of quest on my own and not feel like, well, shit, I can't do this quest by myself. Now I
Oh,
gotta wait
no.
for somebody else.
I pulled 3 mobs: Starfall, Barkskin, GG.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which you can't do that as a mage. So,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually kind of enjoying the different zones because
Mhm.
I haven't done a lot of the horde zones. So
Yeah, for as long as all of us have been playing, I think that Nightsun's the only one that's actually really played any type of long term as a horde character, and that was a long time ago.
The BC thing, yeah.
Like I think a few of us have dabbled in a little bit hordy, but we've all pretty much been alliance committed, and so this is a pretty big venture. And by the way,
Yeah.
not that anyone from Blizzard will watch this, but fuck you for putting that flight path in Orgrimmar on the second floor. Like what?
Yeah, that is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That town is not well laid out.
It's like, how does that? They've rebuilt every zone like 3 times by now, but that's still like that. It's like what?
Most horde cities were notoriously bad. I think.
Yeah, they're all still bad.
Yeah, Matt,
But
you
it's
should
fine.
come play with us.
Experience the bad horde cities.
It's the bad horde cities.
Yeah, I don't know.
And all these new
too
goblin
much. There's too
zones.
much Rocket League for Matt to be dissuaded.
And Sevtech Ages, I'm still playing. I'm still in like. I'm only just now getting to the point where I actually am using a windmill for my power. So we've advanced into the age of power. Not just bashing sticks together anymore.
Mhm.
So
Right
I got that to keep me busy for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Until I'm forced to roll a troll rogue.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. On my end, Matt, I am literally just playing with them. So I rolled the Death Knight, did a couple dungeons. I invalidated my ability to play with them, and I was like, all right, locking out. I'll wait for them to catch up. Not playing solo. Not interested. The game
Gotcha.
does not have any hold for me at that level.
Right.
You're currently like 30 levels ahead of me because I'm only 32 right now.
My problem with WoW is that Blizzard, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to lock literally everything new behind faction grinding, and I do not have the time or energy or interest in doing dailies and stuff.
Well,
so it's really hard to
It's only the
find
allied
motivation
races.
to play.
Only the allied races are gated that way. Not real
When you-
content is gated that way. I don't know that I would classify a race as a content.
When you've spent a vast majority of your time early on in the game, shortly after the first expansion, that you had to, in order to be successful in late, harder raids, you had to faction grind. The items with the necessary bonuses or resistances, as it were. And then, 6 years later, any faction grind seems so daunting. Just the faction, and you bring up faction grind, and it just feels like that word that you just don't want to.
It's an outdated mechanic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a job. I'm not
And
paying
this is an
so
ever-
I can have a job.
This is an EverQuest player saying this, but faction grinding it's an outdated mechanic.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think faction in itself is not the issue. I think allowing other mechanisms to gain it is the issue. I don't think
Right.
it should be dailies or bust. I think you should be able to,
Farm items.
at one point you could wear a tabard and go do
Right.
any quest and gain
Yeah.
faction. Like there need to be other avenues to get to the end road. And right now, it's just an antiquated system. And I think a few tweaks could make it better. And I'm just surprised they haven't yet.
Yeah.
Well, and
it is.
the tabard system's pretty great because
It
you know,
worked, right?
you could buy the
did
tabard
work.
for something that you really wanted to grind rep with. You throw it on, you go do dungeons, and you're always, every rep you get while you're wearing it goes to the thing you're wearing. And that it's a great system because then you're not getting rep for other factions that maybe you are already exalted with, and it's now, useless, or maybe a faction that you don't care to get rep with. The tabard system was.
I mean, think back to the Burning Crusade days where if you wanted to grind something like Sporgar rep, yeah, you could do those dailies, but you could also farm Hibiscus, right, and trade them,
Right.
and that was fine.
Yep.
Right.
Or if you wanted to do Cenarian, you could farm the tridents, the armlets, or something like that. I don't remember what they're
Yep.
called. But
Well,
there were just other roads. There were other ways to do it. Sure, there were technically, I don't know, they're dailies. They're repeatable quests. But point being is, like, if you wanted to grind it out and just farm a dungeon for it, like, more power to you. You don't have that avenue anymore. And it's just it seems like a backtread, especially if you're going to literally gate things behind it. These days, because back then, Burning Crusade days, I think a lot of that stuff was acceptable. I think having things gated behind faction back then, people wouldn't have really flinched at it because the MMO genre hadn't developed to what it is now. But for that to be like that now is really surprising.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, if I was gonna do factions in a newer game, I would want it to be like a story quest, right? Like, make me the champion of these people, and then give me the faction rep.
And that's
Don't
another
make me
thing. You're right.
grind
It's not
bullshit
even
quests.
meaningful.
Yeah,
Right.
Like it's not even meaningful to be exalted with a faction. It's okay. I unlocked a thing. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's just strange.
Well, and that's true, and I completely agree with you, Kurt. Like, if it made you feel like the champion of that, or like the one that we're wanting to get exalted with right now is the High Mall tribe. And when you finish that zone, you should be exalted. You shouldn't have to spend from revered to exalted grinding their daily quests to get to that point. When you finish that zone, you should be at the exalted point because you finished all the save my babies and go kill these 12 cows and do our dungeon, or once you finish the zone, you should have all the rep.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like,
Kill
They
the
actually-
cows.
the
Not the
the
babies.
whole rep grinding experience was kind of taken care of in Legion because nothing actually required rep, and the one thing that did require rep was the Suramar. But Suramar is that style of rep system where you are the hero of those people, and as you're gaining rep along, you're unlocking these story quests, and you're finding out more about what's going on, who they are, trying to save these people from being elf mana vampires. I don't know. I can't remember.
Right.
The dailies evolved.
Alcoholics.
Right.
Yeah.
The daily content evolved as your rep got up, so it didn't get stagnant.
Right.
Like once you got revered, you got right, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but you unlocked other like nodes of quests to do for that segment of your faction, and it progressed. Yeah, that's interesting. It's immersive that way, but sure.
Wasn't
Here's 6
Flying
quests.
locked
Do them for
behind-
6 weeks. Gee, I mean, like what? Why?
Well,
Was
go ahead.
flying locked behind any rep grind?
Yeah, flying's been locked behind rep grinds for the last 2 expansions. That's
Yeah.
why I haven't been able to fly for 8 years.
And I won't.
Yeah.
I don't have the
Yeah.
time for that shit. Like I just don't. I won't do it.
We'll just have Gordon come pick us up in his
That's literally what's happened the last couple of expansions.
passenger dragon.
I ride bitch on Gordon everywhere.
Wasn't it? So in the past, wasn't flying behind a gold issue? Like, it was you had to gain enough gold to buy it.
Right.
Yeah,
But
long
now that
time
they've
ago.
made gold irrelevant because you can pay real money for it, like, is that why they have to do that?
I think it's just
They want to
it's
keep people playing the
cheap
game.
content. It's just
Yeah.
it's stretching content. That's really all it is. I want to
they
keep
got
people logged
people-
in, so I want to
Yeah.
give them this thing that's going to take them. I mean, if they're hyper no lifers, it's going to take them 6 weeks to do it. But if you have a job and a family, it's going to take you 2 months. So hey, that's 2 months sub, and then you have all this other content behind. It's just a cheap way to stretch out content.
Well, and that's 2 months of like seriously working towards that goal. I mean, because if you
if you
do
log in
anything
like
else
twice a
in
week,
game other than if you only log in 2 times a week or whatever, then it's gonna take you 5 times as long.
and
Personally-
And if it takes me an hour to do my dailies every day and I can only log in for an hour a day, it's like, okay, do I want to do this thing I've done for the last 8 days straight, or do I want to try doing something different and fun today?
Right, and that's how I feel about it too.
Dailies.
Right.
do I want to play the game or do I want to do these quests
Yeah.
again?
I'm a big
feel
fan of how Final Fantasy has taken the flying route with their latest 2 expansions, which is
Yes.
you have to do the zone, basically. You do the story quest of the zone, start to finish. You have to explore, go find all these rare nodes, and go click on them and learn
The
them.
wind currents.
Yep. Where you have a little clicky item in your inventory that says, hey, there's one 200 feet to the west of you. And you're like, all right, that sounds fun. You look around, all right, it's up there. And then you go climb up a mountain, and you're like, woot, I got this. And then you have to do a half dozen other side quests. However, instead of having them arbitrarily hidden, they're like, no. It's these particular icons on the map say, this thing will unlock something. You go click on it, it's like, oh, another Aether Current. Click, and then you got them, and you can fly.
For the most part, they're all located in the quest hubs where you're going to be doing your main story quests anyways. they're just like this next NPC over. He's like, hey, I got something you could do. You want to help me out? You could fly a little bit.
But here's all this.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's
Here's all
awesome.
this rich content. Here's all these zones in Final Fantasy,
Right.
and you don't have to seed it all. You don't have to do all of it, right?
Right.
But as a developer, you're like, man, we created this wonderful place, and people are only going to see like 60% of it if they really, if they're just trying to go through. Let's give them incentive to really experience all this content. And now there's this
Yeah.
incentive. It's
Right.
it's brilliant. It's honestly a really smart way of handling it.
Well,
It
And
it's
now
like
you're
reminds
Kurt
me-
seeing
said,
things
you
you
put
wouldn't
it
have otherwise seen.
right, and it's like Kurt said, you put it behind quest things you care about or a story rather than just grind some rep, right? Like now you care enough
Yeah.
to go get flying, or you care enough to finish all the quest hubs because you're going to get something at the end, but also you're caring about the story as you go.
Not
It
to
reminds-
mention, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, it reminds me just a little bit what you're talking about there, Night Sun. It reminds me just a little bit of that first Assassin's Creed that we played when you open up to a new city, and in order to get, the viewpoint of what the objective of that city was going to be and what you were going to be doing here, like the whole overview, what am I doing here, was you climb this massive tower, you hear the eagle soar, or the eagle, whatever you want to call it, and you kind of got like these goosebumps because you made it all power, and now you're overseeing the entire city that you just came upon, and you hear the eagle, and that opens up everything. It where the quests are going to be, what's gonna happen, how things are going to lay out, and then you jump down and you have this what do you call it, climax resolution with the climb and then the fall.
Mhm.
Except for obviously it's a little different in an MMO, but on a very base level, that's what that reminds me of, is that very iconic moment in the first Assassin's Creed that came out years ago now. But
So back to the topic of the conversation today. Part number 1 for creating a group is to play a good game like Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, step 1, find a good game.
Pick a game that people like to play.
So yeah, let's thanks, Mike. Let's move ahead to our spotlight topic and talk about how we all formed as a group and how to form groups when you don't have other people playing those groups with
Yeah.
you. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, we're friends with Handor, and you don't live here in California with the rest of us.
heck no, I don't.
And
think,
we all met you in game in
Yeah.
in an MMO.
I think,
No.
I think our situation's a little weird though, because aside from Handor, we all met each other in Dungeons and Dragons.
That is true, but I think that's still
Which is
how to form a group.
That's
So
like a
Pro-
real life MMO, I guess, because it was technically Living Greyhawk. So I feel like that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for our viewers and for me, because I don't actually know the story, how did you guys all form? What was it, Chaotic Awesome or whatever it was, your first group?
I'll
always
let
been
Nightstone
chaotic
take this
awesome.
one.
So a million years ago, in the halls of Naxxramas, so we're talking the old what is it, Wrath of the Lich King. We basically hosted 25-man pugs, and
Cut
that
your
would
gear,
be
noobs.
yeah. This was Mike and Tyler and I, a few other of our real life friends. But 25 people means you grab a lot of random people. And yeah, and it was a get your gear. It was designed around, hey, we don't want to be here for 7 hours.
Why didn't we just use LFR for that? Or
Didn't exist.
God, I would
Q-
have preferred that.
queue for the raid.
Yeah, that didn't exist back then.
So you're telling me you had to interact socially with human beings?
Yeah.
Yeah,
To,
that was
form
horrible.
Groups? Oh man. Damn, that
See,
sounds-
that's
it's terrible.
well. I wonder if LFR has done a disservice in that way.
It
right?
has.
People just
It's
don't-
horrible.
I mean, the game is a solo game now.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible, and
But let's let Nightsun
Go ahead.
finish his story.
the whole topic.
So we and basically through this we were able to identify decent players, and say, hey, you want to join us and make this kind of a regular thing. And so in that we met Matt here, we met another guy, and then a couple other random people, and we managed to put together our 10-man and move on when it came down to it, when Old War came out, and start pushing through that content.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it.
And then we
Pretty
just
much.
kind of made everybody migrate with us from game to game.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just dragged them through.
We're pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
game hoppers.
Right.
Yeah. What? Well,
So when you start a new game and you're trying to put together a group, what is the strategy? Looking at you.
yeah, like say we jump into Pantheon or
I
some
think
Sea of
I'll-
Thieves or
I
something.
will. I'll answer for Nerd Cub. All right. Here's what you do: you join a guild that's already existing, and then you sow the seeds of discord. You make friends with the good players. You cause the guild to collapse and disband, and then you take the good players and bring them to your own guild.
Is that
It's
the
worked. It's worked at least 5 times.
5
60% of the
times?
time, it works every time.
It can be successful.
I've been in that situation with him. It's not comfortable.
It's hilarious,
It's a
though.
very awkward situation. What's that?
It is funny though.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for somebody who's actually on the winning side of the whole ordeal, it is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's well. Yeah,
I mean, I have watched a guild implode
we
because of
Oh, it
social
happens.
stuff.
yeah we
It
have
happens
Like,
all the
I've
time.
watched them like tear themselves to pieces.
Yeah.
Also, don't form a guild with your family, and then invite strangers into it.
Right.
Duh.
well strangers. Yeah.
So I think an actual tactic is, and something that's worked with us as an overall. If we're gonna, I think, try to answer the question seriously. Something that Night Sun and Nerd Cub and Orstez and I have always done is we've kind of got this because we've played so many MMOs and because we've played so many MMOs together. When we go into a new game, let's say it's a brand new game, it's the launch of a new MMO.
Mm-hmm.
We go into it with a certain amount of, even though if you heard us in Discord, you would hear the panic in our voices of what the hell are we doing? Where do we go next? Where, Night Sun, where are you? Where's the next quest turn in? Where, right? All that.
Always Night Sun.
Game launch.
Yeah.
Right. So
Follow the blue square.
He's
Yeah,
the living,
follow- yeah,
the
follow
living
the-
map.
so
Guys, it's just M, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but if I'm looking
So-
at him, I'm not looking at you.
But why do all 4 of us need to have the map open? That just seems
We
inefficient.
only need one guide.
Yeah.
right, exactly. So
Herding
I think
cats.
what a lot of us have always had in common is a certain amount of confidence going into an MMO, and we're able to approach people with a certain amount of confidence just because we have the experience, maybe. And so when we approach people, it's not like it's more like, hey, we're gonna do this dungeon. We'll probably fail. If we don't fail, we'll win. Drastically, and people are like, "Oh yeah, cool, sure, whatever."
There isn't a desperation
then-
in our need for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, we come. People will be around, and
I think
it's like maybe you could put it into better words for me, Tyler.
No, I mean, I think if you're starting off, I think there's different variants to this. I think it depends on what your skill set is. I think it depends on what you want to get out of the game. If what you want to get out of the game is community and making friends and doing content together, I think some of the key things are, one, as far as skill set is concerned, do your homework. Like, try and know the game as much as you can. Obviously, I'm not saying go spend hours reading forums all day and whatnot, but having a general familiarity with your class and with what you're doing is going to make forming relationships a little bit easier because people don't tend to want to hang out with people that are dead weight or that they're having to pull along with them. So being able to carry your own is pretty important. So do your homework. Learn what you're doing on some fundamental level. Two,
To add that,
yep, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to add to that, the amount of quote unquote homework you're doing and familiarity you should have should be relative to the group you're trying to ingest insert yourself into.
Mhm.
It's going to be a little different if you're like, I want to be a server first raider on this. I want to get with the top of the line people. I want to do that, and that's what I want to do. The amount of work involved in that is a lot different than no. I'm just looking for a couple people to jump on and farm, go pick flowers with.
Yeah. And Tyler, to reiterate too, you're absolutely right. That's something that is key to solidifying relationships inside of MMO is doing that research and that homework, because every single time you have an interaction with someone, there's always that short small talk, and then there's the what do you know that I don't know, or whatever, and someone will 99% of the time someone will say, hey, what do you think of this, or what do you think of that? And then when you have an opinion, next thing you know, you're either following them around because they know more than you, or they're following you around because you know more than them. And so you're constantly getting these questions, right? And so that's how being knowledgeable is a great way to have basically somebody want to leech off of you. Essentially, information.
Gidget can probably speak better to this, but as far as forming those relationships, if you have all that, I think it's human nature when you're forming a relationship. Even if you're not instinctively thinking of it, you're subconsciously trying to see, what am I getting out of this relationship? It becomes, you're forming relationships. Both people have to be getting something out of it. And it might be something very nuanced, like, hey, this person has similar interests than I do. Or this person's really nice and I feel better when I talk to them. Things like that, or the way that they behave. Or this person can show me things in the game that I'm not familiar with, or take me places and show me content. Or this person can carry me because I'm really terrible at the game, and they're going to get me gear and help me farm gold, or things like that. I think there's always some give and take, or what you're trying to get out of a relationship, and I think kind of understanding that is also really helpful when you're trying to make these friends and these relationships. Is understand you need to provide something as well. It may be just being a nice person. It may be, hey, have you done this content? Here, let me show you, or things like that. And once you've got that connection or that understanding with another person, that's a bond, at least in game, that usually will sustain. And then you just kind of spread that. You make friends with their friends, and they make friends with your friends.
Absolutely. And just to kind of add on top of that, what you were saying about getting things out of a relationship, sometimes what you're getting out of that relationship is the fact that you and them have similar personalities, and you enjoy laughing about the same stupid shit together. And it's not, what can this person give me in game? It's like, oh no, I genuinely enjoy this person's personality. And sometimes it is more, materialistic in game, where it's like, oh, this person will always show up to tank this raid for me when we need to go do a dungeon, or this person will always show up to heal, or if I needed to, get a port from Stormwind to somewhere else, this mage will always show up and open a portal for me. And so sometimes it is more, what can I get from these other players? But typically when you form long-lasting groups like ours, it's more that first kind of group where, yeah, we all have strengths in gaming. We all have different things that we bring to the table. Gordon's Nightson's always there to know exactly where we're supposed to be going and keep all of the cats in line, and show up to tank. But we all have in-game strengths, but mostly it was that personality piece that kept us all friends outside of games, and where we hang out even when we're not playing an MMO.
Yeah. Psychologically, I don't think there's any explanation as to why I am any of your guys' friends, because other than you guys just using me.
You'd have to have something to offer for us to use you, Matt.
Well, Matt,
Yeah, right.
for me,
See,
it
this
was
is
because it was because we went to PAX, and I was like, what can this guy get for me? He is going to get me next to all these really cute girls, so I'm gonna follow him around, and that's pretty much how that worked.
I
Fair.
think part of personality. I mean, we enjoy hanging out with funny, so I mean that keeps you in the group.
Yeah, I guess.
He's
So,
the
yeah,
last coming, or you're out.
right. Yeah.
I don't
So-
know that handlers consider that maybe not being just like us is the pro here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like sometimes you don't want everyone to be the same way about things.
Yep.
It's not
Right.
as interesting. So
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to argue with people sometimes.
For
Oh,
sure.
I think
God.
I think also something that people need to consider though, if you're going into like, it's kind of different for us, I think, because we tend to move as a group from MMO to MMO. So it's been years since I think any of us have really been like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm here all by myself and I don't know anybody, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, who am I supposed to hang out
Right.
with?
Hmm.
So
We
I
can
think,
all convince at least 3 of us to join a game.
yeah. So I mean, I think for like the people who are out there, just in a brand new MMO and they're just looking for a group or anything, I think for me personally, the most important thing is like you have to realize that not everybody is going to be worth your time. So don't try
yeah.
to spend too much time like, oh yeah, that guy is cool, he's look at that gear he's wearing, he's going to be able to carry me, or he's going to be able to help me out and do this and that. If they're a jerk, just okay, well, no, they're not going to work. So let's go
Yeah.
try to meet somebody else and hang out with some other cool people. I think you really just need to find people who will make your time in game enjoyable.
Yep.
Rather than just try to, find somebody who's going to help you get to where you want to be. Find some people who are going to help you get to where you want to be, but have fun doing it. Just
Yeah.
having a goal for like your end game, your own personal end game, just getting there, like trying to get there is not enough. I think you got to really have fun getting there, or else you're not gonna stick around. It's not gonna be a good thing for you.
Yeah. I think to touch on some of the things that you said that are actually very good points. There's a lot of I think every MMO has spots where it's toxic, right? There's a certain amount of toxicity in every single MMO, right?
Any game that's multiplayer, period.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Right.
for sure. So I would say, to add on to what Oresta said, is it's important because I think somehow finding confidence, if you're joining an MMO for the very first time, like play off of what Night Sun said, educate yourself, learn about the game, and more on what Nerd Cub said, which is more like how to establish those relationships, figure out what you're going to do, what do you want to be involved in that MMO, and then find confidence in that. Use your confidence so that you can decide who you want to be around and who you don't want to be around, who's going to waste your time, who's not going to waste your time. And make sure to always be polite. I think being polite is really, really key. Even if people are total assholes to you.
You won.
Until you're doing dungeons that no one else is doing, there's no reason to be an asshole to anyone. There's no reason. You have no space to
I
start.
would say even then.
Oh, there's reasons.
Why is it
Sometimes.
the immediate someone starts saying don't be an asshole, the first thing I want to do is tell that person to shut the fuck up?
Well, yeah, and the thing is just be polite. I think honestly we could all agree that trying to be the better person or trying to be polite is going to land you in a better situation most of the time. And you'll find yourself not having to deal with a lot of that drama a lot more of the time, because the people that you end up dealing with they tend to try to be polite as well, and they tend to try to skirt the drama. And so, like I said, adding to what Mike said, try to be polite, educate yourself, and figure out what you want to do. And don't throw yourself, don't wear your MMO heart on a sleeve. You're not just making friendships with people that are gonna, bring you down or take you through the gutter. Make sure you choose wisely, and don't be afraid to say no, and be polite.
I think one thing I'd like to touch on is that in the gaming community, there's a high level of people who have social anxieties and feel
Oh, for
uncomfortable
sure, yeah.
trying to form groups and talk to other people. And I think it's important to remember that you're probably talking to someone else who also has the same fears and anxiety that you're having about trying to form relationships with people in game so that you can create groups and fulfill your goals in game, but you have to deal with other people because it's an MMO. And so just remembering that you're not the only one who's having anxiety. The person you're chatting with is probably feeling uncomfortable as well. And so the easiest thing to do is to just be yourself, try to calm down so that you don't let your anxiety take control so you don't form relationships in game. And if somebody's making you feel uncomfortable, just stop talking to that person because they're obviously not someone that you feel comfortable enough in game to talk to. Move on. Find someone else that you do feel comfortable with.
Every game has an ignore feature, and you should use it liberally.
Absolutely.
Liberal use of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Block.
One thing I'd just like to add is always just try to find people in your circle of interest. If you are the kind of person you are like, hey, I love dungeons. I love doing, the dungeon or the raiding content. It's almost the level of cliche, but at the end of a dungeon, you find a DPS or a healer or a tank who's like, wow, this guy actually knows their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Throw up the, wow, that was really good. You did a good job. Can I add you my friends?
Mhm.
Hey, now you have one less random pug when you're starting. Or if you are, you like crafting or fishing or something like that, you pull up to a fishing hole and you're like reeling, doing your mini game. You see someone else doing the same. It's like, hey, are any fish biting? How's it going? And you strike up conversations and you already have that similar interest already set up right then and there. And you can find out even in a few, half jokey conversation lines, whether or not this is a person that is to your level of understanding and is interesting for that matter, and go from there.
And it won't work every time. It may work
yeah.
one out of 10, 1 out of 20 people that you interact with that way might respond. It might just be a passing conversation. There's nothing
be a
wrong
bot.
with that. Yeah, and nothing wrong with
Might
that.
be, yeah.
Something to pass time while you're doing the thing, just it makes
Well,
that experience at least short term better.
To kind of touch on something that Matt kind of said earlier, the 6 of us are all very different people. Our career paths aren't exactly similar. We have very different interests outside of gaming that each other don't necessarily participate in, and we don't really talk about between each other. And like Handor said, you're a home health aide. I'm a psychologist. The other 4 are in the tech field, but in very different aspects of it. Like, Kurt's an artist, and I mean, it's just there's even within the 6 of us, there are very different interests that the other 6 may not really, or other 5 may not really be interested in, and that's okay that you form groups with people in an MMO that maybe you don't want to hang out with outside of playing that MMO. That's okay too.
What she's trying to say is she doesn't want to hang out with you guys anymore.
Yeah, I'm out, guys. Bye.
And also, don't be afraid to jump games with these people. Once you're in a game, like say you're in WoW and you meet some cool people and your friends and everything, and they're like, hey, this other game's coming out. We're gonna go try to, play that and mess around with that.
Let's go play
If you
Fortnite.
if you can, go hang out with them. Play a different game. You might find, you guys have a lot more in common playing different games, or if it's a new MMO or something, start from scratch together. Start from the base level and just try to build it up together. Because if you meet somebody in game, like they're already pre-established, start from scratch together, work together, and try to, come up with, some cohesive group in a new environment, and that will help, build those relationships and strengthen those too.
That's
sure.
taking an in-game friendship. When you get to a point where you like this person enough to say, I want to pull this relationship into another game because I enjoy it so much, that's how you start becoming friends in real life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? That's when you started getting into Discord and you started getting into Skype and you start learning personal things about this person, not just about their in-game persona, right? And then you develop a real life friendship when you get to that point. And that's when that's the best. Because you're familiar with this person's behaviors and where they excel and where they don't excel, and it makes any gaming content you do. I've never experienced any gaming content that any of us have ever played together that was not immensely more fun because you had people
Like,
there
'cause-
you were familiar with.
Yeah,
Well,
because we all started
absolutely.
together in World of Warcraft, but then like we moved to Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh,
and we
yeah,
started
that's
our guild
right.
from there, from the ground up,
Yep.
and it was great. Like we had
It
a lot of
was.
fun in there, and we just kind of just straight to the top. We all grouped together, did missions, did dungeons, did raids,
Left me
and
behind.
because we had this like cohesive group that had already been established in WoW, and we went in before the game came out. We're like, okay, well, you're going to be a tank, you're going to be a DPS, you're going to be a healer. We had our roles, we had our trade skills, we had everything. When the game came out, we were able to progress so much faster than people who were trying to just create something on the fly.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, that brings back to what Nightsun was saying earlier about playing WoW. You made a DK, you got through the starting zone, and you went, all right, cool. Well, now I've got this character that I can play with you guys when you guys get to that level.
Right.
You didn't start playing WoW again because you wanted to play WoW. You started playing WoW again because, Nerd Cub Kurt and I started playing WoW, and you're like, well, crap, all right, fine, I'll play with you guys. I mean, and that kind of goes to what Orestes was saying, is that, play games with people you enjoy to play games, you enjoy playing games with. It doesn't necessarily need to be about the game once you kind of move away from your initial MMO that you met those people in.
Right.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. We're actually out of time. So I think this concludes our full first. We're calling this episode 1, right? Even though it's
Yeah.
episode
Last
2.
time was episode 0.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, did you write us an outro this time?
No.
And I think that was it.
Yeah, I was not prepared.
I'm Gidget. Thanks for watching.
We're going
Somebody
in
else
order.
say goodbye.
Yeah.
Farewell.
Bye, guys.
Orestes, Mike.
Kurt, do you want to say again the Dungeon World game?
Yeah, so in 2 weeks, on April 28th at 9 a.m., we'll be running a Dungeon World campaign with this crew right here, Sans Nerd Cub. He'll be producing for us. So we'll have Nightsun, Orestes, Gidget, and Handor as our players, and I'll be running the game. Definitely come and check that out. I'm really excited about it.
I'm producing because they won't allow a 5th bard.
Yeah, you can only have so many
4
bards. If you did
Cowbell
watch
is
this,
not a legitimate instrument.
Oh.
and you'd like to contribute to the show in any way, like content or questions, you can send those to pixelscandal@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll be able to read it on the show or make it into a topic or something.
Yep,
absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye. I love you.
See ya.